Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation.
Oop. Hey everybody, this is not Is UX Elitist. Let me fix that. Oops. Me. Better. Okay. Hi everybody. It's me, Debbie from Delta CX, a surprise live stream because I was just doing a conference. I spoke at the Technical Agility Conference and I did my Dev and UX presentation, but I ran out of time. Let's see, we'll get my name on here. I ran out of time to take questions. So I copied and pasted the chat room and I wanted to answer all the questions here so that if anybody who asked wanted to come, they could find the video and they could get their questions answered. And of course, as always, please subscribe if you'd like to learn more about CX and UX. So the first question was, good morning. Can a better UX better help lean and business processes? I believe so. I would say that if we are trying to do lean, obviously the original definition of lean is focused on reducing defects and making processes more efficient so that we can have more release more quality to the customer and make customers happy. And of course, businesses sometimes forget that they're supposed to be doing that. So I think that better user experience, better customer experience can definitely play directly into things that are lean, things that are agile, and things that are Six Sigma. I would say yes to all of these, but of course it does require a deep understanding of UX. So I do suggest to people, especially since this audience was a lot of, put my name back up here. This audience was a lot of probably agilists or agile coaches or agile practitioners or engineers. UX is not going to be for everybody to do or for everybody to learn, just like complicated back-end dev is not for everybody. So make sure you're hiring seasoned professionals who can run with that and also be strategic. Let's look at the next question. Share some tips on using UX skills to drive organizational change and adoptions. Yow, that sounds like it could be an entire book. Using UX skills to drive organizational change and adoption. So I wish I could have asked that person a follow-up question, but here's what I'm thinking. If we are thinking about the skills that I need to do good UX work, then they would drive organizational change because I am a change agent, and a great UX practitioner usually is a change agent. We're not always everybody's favorite person. Sometimes we are that person you wish you didn't have to invite to the meeting because they have some alternative opinions. But it's still important to include us. But I'm not sure we would use UX skills to drive organizational change. I think it's really more about using CX and UX processes, science, data, and approaches. I think it's more than just skills, because I think when we say skills, we accidentally set ourselves up for the idea of, well, if I just read a UX book and I get some UX skills, now I'm really going to be able to drive organizational change. Now, technically, my entire book is about what I think you're asking me. How valuing customer experience can transform your business. My book might be about what you're saying, so I don't think this is a short answer, especially since I wrote Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. But I would just say yes. Great UX practitioners and leaders should absolutely be able to drive organizational change where the organization is open to it. That's usually the big blocker for us. One blocker could be hiring the wrong people who don't know how to drive that change or are not really great UX practitioners. And the other blocker is the organization that doesn't want to change, that says we're fine the way we are, we've always done it like this works for us. So if you want to drive organizational change, you have to make sure that the organization is open to it. I'm sorry if this may not have been the answer to the question you were looking for, but contact me and you can, give me a better version of the question, and I'll do a better job. Sorry. How is UX different from pre-sales people who take user requirements and convert them into functional specs? This is a great question. So typically at especially larger companies, there might be someone who we think of as pre-sales, who is usually a business analyst, could be a product manager, sometimes a product owner, sometimes an engineer. But when we say we take user requirements, that right there is the problem, because that's where this is going wrong. At many companies, taking user requirements is either, hi, we're from the business side of things. What does the business feel like building for the customer? And the customer is not as involved or considered as they should be. Another problem there is sometimes take user requirements is someone who does not understand the science of user interviews or observations, who doesn't understand planning research, executing research with the right participants, interpreting that research, evaluating, creating actionable insights from it. If you do not have specialty training and experience in that, very often the taking of user requirements is very often flawed. And what will happen later is you will end up getting junk. You'll build what you think based on the junk you got. It will kind of need to be fixed later, or it will be completely wrong, and people will look at each other and go, well, we asked the customers what they wanted. We got the requirements. So it's important to remember that so much of UX is about quality and things that are qualitative, and we don't treat things as user requirements. This is a little bit more, this is a highly scientific job, but also creative. And so we're not just coming up to people and going, hello, can you please give me your requirements? Most people don't know. Even you don't know. But if we can research with you in the right way, we can typically watch what you do, talk to you about what you do, learn who you are, learn your natural behaviors, learn what you expect, analyze the tasks you're trying to do, learn more about how you are with technology. Now we know what we should be building for users. So UX is completely different in many cases from what companies are doing now to take user requirements. This probably deserves its own podcast and a whole hour devoted to it. But unfortunately, at many companies, the taking of user requirements is seen as just go ask people what they want. And sometimes it means sending out a survey. UX rarely does surveys. Surveys are really, really flawed and not the right way to learn things. So we find that most of the methods that companies currently have when they don't use UX to get user requirements are extremely flawed. And you'll know this because if anybody is calculating how we had to delay stuff, how we kept changing our minds, the bad feedback we got from customers, bad ratings we got, call center calls we got. All of these things can be counted and go, oh, we kind of didn't ship the right thing. We kind of didn't make the right thing or the best thing. And the answer there isn't engineering was bad, because chances are engineering did a good job. It's garbage in, garbage out. And engineering is just usually taking orders and going, wow, this is a piece of crap, but I have to code it. So that's why, again, it's important to work with highly qualified UX specialists who can do something different. We usually can't teach you to do it our way. We would much rather you hire us to let us do our jobs and you do your jobs. I don't have a short answer there. What are some easy tools and techniques in your experience that work for user experience research? As you said, we're spoiled by Lean UX. Yeah, and it's not that Lean UX spoiled literally, not that you got some great benefit out of something. You got the short end of the stick by reading a book that was about the completely wrong way to do things. And in fact, even your question shows that, because there's pretty much nothing that's easy in UX, period. And the fact that people think UX is easy, I blame on things like the Lean UX book. So where that book had the opportunity to explain the complexity and the importance of what we do, it instead sold us out and made us look like UX is just a bunch of easy things that you can do in group workshops with anybody. Doesn't even matter who you invite to the workshop, something good will happen. And this isn't true. And so that's why when people say we want easy tools and techniques, I know that they aren't that familiar with what UX is because we don't have that. That would be like me saying, hey, what's some easy tools and techniques I can do in back-end engineering? What would that even be? Is that a thing? And if I told you those things, would they be easy to you? Would they require other knowledge? So I could say, what's some easy tools or techniques that work for user experience research? Well, I like to speak to 30 people to develop deep personas and do task analyses. That's easy for me. I'm good at it. Was that easy for you? Did you even know what I said? So this is why when people are familiar with lean UX or they're familiar with incorrect definitions of UX, you even get a question like, hey, just give me an easy tool and technique. And as I showed during my talk, please remember that I've got my levels of proficiency model, which remind us that if you are looking for easy tools, you're at the building blocks level. You're down here. You're saying, I just want some easy things that I could do, but you're not doing them with depth, quality, science, or technique. You're not doing them well. And hopefully we can all agree that that Scrum or Agile's idea of just get it done, even if it's not done well, doesn't make sense. We have to care about things being done well, so I can't just say, oh, just use some UX tools and woo-woo, you're going to be doing, well, what did that person ask? UX research. My easy technique for doing UX research is to hire a UX researcher with 5 or more years of specific UX research experience. Boom. You're going to have UX research tomorrow. Easy. Do you suggest independent UX on a project or program, or a BA product owner or business process designer or consultant handling the UX design? Another good question. I do get asked this a lot. And basically the answer is nobody should do any UX task, whether that's research, content, information architecture, interaction design, prototyping, testing, and many others that we do, other than a qualified UX professional. This would be similar to saying, who should do the DevOps at our company? Should we just have like a BA do some DevOps? You know, there are things that you'd never say at your company that for some reason when we throw UX in, people go, yeah, that sounds about right. Just get a BA to do some UX. But if we replace UX with any other job at your company, we wouldn't give some of these people product owner jobs. We wouldn't give them engineering work. We wouldn't give them marketing work. Every job at our company is specialized and complex and is not the kind of thing that any of us can learn just by reading a book. I can't decide that if after I read a book, I'm now a product owner. There's complexity to that job, or a business analyst. Certainly there are people who make the transitions, but it's usually not after reading one book. So I always suggest that real qualified specialist UX practitioners work at our companies. This is not a job that can be retrofit. This is not a job that someone can be squeezed into. I know I didn't go too deeply in that in today's talk, but because I got a reduced amount of time, I had to cut some slides, and sadly they were some slides that reminded us that there's no replacement for qualified UX people, just like there's no replacement for a specialized database architect or a DevOps engineer. You cannot fit somebody else into a UX job because UX is based in cognitive psychology, and chances are your BA, product owner, business process consultant did not study psychology, would not be applying Gestalt principles of perception, would not be able to know best practices, does not understand the best way to conduct scientific unbiased research. So you really need those specialists. Let's take a look at a couple of other questions. These were good questions, and I'm sorry that I didn't have time to answer them. The next one says, do you suggest TDD to ensure a UX complete workflow? I think there is no answer to this question because TDD is test-driven development, and this has to do with development. And this was something I did say in my talk today, which is that we have to stop imagining that UX and engineering should be using the same processes or do the same things or do things in the same way. So where engineering has test-driven development, which sounds like you are doing constant testing to ensure the quality of the product, we have that testing as well, but we don't call it TDD. So if you're saying, should UX be constantly testing what they're doing to ensure a good workflow and ensure a good product? Yes, but do we specifically use TDD or engineering processes for our testing? No. We use our own processes and approaches that have their own names, that have their own qualities, that have their own experts. Some people have expertise in this and some people don't. So you need to find the right person who can help you with that. According to you, this is the last question, according to you, is there a difference between UX and CX design, or do you consider that they complement each other? Super question, thanks for asking. So the current definition of UX tends to revolve mostly around digital products. Your screens, your devices, your wearables, your Tesla cars, these are all considered UX because somewhere along the line UX started meaning just digital stuff, our phones, our computers. But when the term was created in the early 90s by Don Norman, he intended it to mean the entire experience that a customer or potential customer has with every aspect of your company. So an example that I like to give people, and by the way, that's now considered CX, the customer experience. So some people treat CX as the overarching everything that happens with a customer, and some people would say that, I just want to make sure, am I missing a phone call I booked? That would be bad. No, 4:30. All right, I got a few more minutes. Sorry, everybody streaming. So some people say UX is just screens and customer experience is everything, and it's this umbrella term that includes UX. And the way that I like to explain it to people is, imagine you're going to stay at a hotel. So you book a room at the hotel. Maybe you book that room on their website. The website was a digital experience. People would call that UX. But now you've gone to the hotel, you're checking in. What does the lobby look like? How does it smell? What's the furniture like? How is the person behind the desk treating you? How did they greet you? What was the process they went through to check you in? Was it a good process? Was it a long process? Was it long in a bad way? Was it long in a helpful way? Now we're getting into other aspects of how people interact with a business and the products and services and experiences that business provides. Some of you just work at software companies and you put out some sort of software, websites, apps, SaaS systems, medical technology screens, but some people, even medical technology is also going to be a device. So we have all these other areas that are sometimes called service design, and the idea is that ultimately all of these are the customer experience, and unfortunately at many companies these are siloed. So currently I am using the terms interchangeably. I don't believe that customer experience is the overarching everything, where, as I like to say, everything that touches your customer or your customer can touch is CX. And then I don't believe that UX is a separate thing, siloed. And I had this when I worked at Macy's, because we were the UX team, but we really wanted to work on things happening inside the Macy's stores, because the stores had so many problems that didn't seem like they were getting fixed very well or very quickly. And if you've been to a Macy's, you know what I mean. So we were told we weren't allowed to work on that stores were somebody else's domain and we were just the UX team. And I think that's a bad silo, because the customer doesn't see a separation of these things. If you don't like that hotel, you're not going to stay there again. but you're also not going to use their website again. And if you have a really bad experience on their website, and especially can't book a room for some reason, you're not going to the hotel. So these are really much more connected than some people are realizing. Some people are realizing how connected these are, and I'm seeing more CX terms being used out there for more than just your call center. So I would say they are pretty interchangeable, even though they do have traditional definitions that right now say one is a subset of the other. All right, so that was just a little bit of a live stream for the people who saw my technical agility conference presentation today. I don't remember what day is today. Does anybody know? Friday, July 31, 2020. So thanks to everybody who attended. I think there were like 60 people there, and you guys laughed at all the jokes, and I want to thank you for a great experience. If there's anything else I can do, just contact me. I am Debbie Levitt, and you can find me at deb@deltacx.com. And of course, you can also subscribe to this YouTube channel, join us on Slack if you'd like to learn more about CX and UX, or if I can ever help with something that your company might need. It sounds like some of you need help getting proper UX process in place. That's part of what my company does. We do that type of consulting and business process improvement. So please feel free to contact me through Delta CX, and of course calls are free, so I do not charge to talk about what's going on with you, and then I can give you a proposal. So with that, I will play the closing music that I always play at the end of a stream, and thank everybody for a great experience at the Technical Agility Conference.
Thanks for watching. Delta CX is available for consulting and projects related to CX and UX strategy, leadership, training, problem finding, problem solving, and innovation. Learn more at deltacx.com.